Hello everybody. Hi Charlene, hi Dungeon Matron, good to see you all. Okay, today we're going to be working on some paper crafts because that's what we will be doing for the challenge for the end of this month. That's the entire idea. And Dungeon Matron says finally a creative way to get rid of my junk mail, like bills and court summons. Yeah, to be honest, I've been turning those into sculpta mold for years, so it's yeah, look at the old videos. Well, that aside, the plan for today is to make some papercraft templates. And apologies to all vampires watching right now, but yeah, this is the kind of thing that we'll be talking about. So we're going to design a 3D model. We're going to set it up and put a texture on it so that we can print it out, cut it out, and put it together. And we're going to make some barrels. So what these templates go into is this kind of thing. So we've got tiny crates. So I made these last week. I've got the stuff recorded and I'll be editing it to a video soon. But the basic idea is that we're going to be able to print those out on standard printer paper, cut them up, glue them together, and you have crates. So those 24 crates cost me about 50 cents. Make it 75 because I printed a third sheet to experiment on, but yeah, that's 24 crates for 50 cents. And what I'm going for here is not necessarily super realistic terrain, but stuff that someone who has little crafting experience can pick up, cut up and put together, and they'll have something nice for their table. So we're not aiming to have extremely complex models, just ones that are easy to put together. Okay, and before we proceed, let me just drop the link to the community showcase. So if you have anything to show off, please drop it in there. And we'll look at it before the end of the stream. Okay, so for size and scale, I'm aiming to make a barrel about this size. So I've had to go with it with the calipers earlier, and it's 17 millimeters tall, 15 millimeters across the widest part, and 13 millimeters on top. And those are the measurements we're going with. And we'll be using Blender 3D to build the model. Okay, right now I'm using the latest edition, or close to the latest, which is 5.12. This will work fine on older editions, so if you're using 4 or whatever, that's still fine. Okay, let's get rid of all this stuff because we won't be needing it. And start by setting up the scene. Okay, I'm going to use metric units. If you prefer to use imperial, you can switch it from here. And I'm going to switch to millimeters because that's the scale we have. Okay, zoom in here a bit. And we're going to start with a cylinder because that's the closest shape to what we want. Okay, mesh and cylinder. Now that's a bit oversized right now because it's still at default size. So I'll just say it's 17 millimeters. And with a radius of, let's say 15 division by 2. There we go. Now, by default, the cylinder has 32 faces, which is way too many. Because if we're going to be printing that and cutting that out, that's going to take us forever. So let's say we're going with 8. It's not perfectly round, but at the tabletop scale, it's close enough. And again, we're not going for super realistic here. Okay, I'm going to uncheck generate UVs. We'll get to what and why that is later. And I'm going to change the cap fill to triangle fan. That's just going to help us a bit later when we get to design the top and the bottom. Okay, and that's our basic shape we're going to start with. Okay, so to begin with, we're going to need to bring in the top and the bottom so that's our size. So I'm going to go into edit mode, go to face selection mode, and select all the top and the bottom faces. Oh, why you do that? Starting out well. Try with edges. Okay, so this is going to pull everything in. So we're going to have to put in some extra cuts in the middle to make this work. I sometimes use a blender for Papercraft, but I usually just grind it to a pulp. Hi, Cross. Okay, so we're saying we're going to need at least another subdivision here to prevent it from shrinking all the way. Some loop cut. Okay, and let's put another subdivision there. Let's select these again. I guess we can do the bottom as well. S to scale. We really don't want to scale it on the z-axis really, because that's bringing it up and down as well. Let's try to stick to one side. Yeah, there we go. Okay, just about there seems right. And let's see, I think we can make it bulge around this part a bit more so it's not an entirely a straight line. But do we want to do that? The thing is that every subdivision we put in, that's going to just make it more complex. Yeah, let's leave it like this for now. Keep it complex and then we can just add complexity later if we need it. Just going to pick these guys. And I'm going to look at this to the vertices so that we can shrink it the same by the same amount. Hopefully. Okay, close enough. Yeah, let's just do something else. Let's just mirror the whole thing so that we can be sure it's exactly the same. Okay, tapping out of edit mode, modifiers. Okay. There we go. Highly good to see you. Listening as working on scenic, putting on grass and foliage on the field. Nice. If you want to take some pictures of your work in progress and put it in the community showcase and Discord, feel free. We'll look at it before the end of the stream. Okay, so yeah, there we have a half decent barrel layout, I guess. So let's just apply this. And the next thing I want to do is put on some seams. That's basically just going to tell the Papercraft plugin where I want the cuts to be. Nope. Okay, so the top and bottom can be separate. So I selected those and we just need to mark them as seams. So when you have this red outline around them, that means that they're going to be separated out. Okay. So I know that at some point this will need one entire row cutout. And the reason for that is basically the same thing as if you were making a paper cylinder. You need somewhere where it's cut off completely so you can roll it around. And I'm guessing at least a few of these will need to be separated out. I think we should be able to have one entire strip running around the bottom, so that's in one piece. And then we can have these as separate flaps. So we just cut out one part. But let's try it out first and see what comes out. If Karl is making this, then I expect it will hold a lot of beer. Well, at least I mean like it's a thumbnail's worth of beer. Beer. Oh, I got distracted. Where were we? Okay. So we have our shape, we mark the seams. So next thing I'm going to try is to export this out and see what we have. Save it out first. And I'm just going to change the name of this to barrel so we don't get confused later. Okay, so to export it, what we're going to need the Papercraft plugin. So that is built into Blender. If you download Blender, it will be included automatically, but you will need to activate it. So you can do that by going to Preferences. Okay, Add-ons, and if you search for the Papercraft plugin, there you go, Export Paper Model. All you need to do is make sure that that box is checked. Okay. Karl is one of the best co-hosts ever. I know, thank you. I'm certainly the best co-host currently on the stream. So, uh, yeah, export, right. Focus, Karl, focus. So, export and paper model. Okay, there are a few settings here that we want to pay attention to. Scale is an important one. So since we're working with millimeters in the main layout, this should stay as 1:1, which is fine. Sometimes you might be working on a model that's in meters or in feet or whatever, and you want to bring that down. And this is what you would use to do that. Okay, I'm going with PDF and A4 size. That is fine. You can change this to any paper size you like. Page margins. Now, we are going to leave the texture off right now, so because we don't actually have a texture anyway, so that's okay. We will get back to that later. And what I'm going to do is switch off the numbers because those can be a bit annoying sometimes. Finally, tabs. We're going to leave the tabs on as stickers. You'll see what those are in a second. You can also make it without tabs, which is what I usually do when I print out cutting templates for XPS foam. This time we're making a Papercraft, so we're leaving the stickers on. And if you bear with me 1 second, I'm just going to bring that up, see what we ended up with. Hopefully it went to the folder I hope it went to. Yeah, it did. Okay. We're good. We are good. Okay, this is what we have. I'm picturing these little paper patterns for the barrel hoops. How badly I'd glue them myself. Yeah, actually what I'm going to do with those is, we're going to go back to the model. I'm going to mark them out on the template, and we're just going to draw them in as part of the texture for it, which avoids having an extra part to paint on, basically. Karl is a great vlog and streamer. Why, thank you. Okay, so hopefully this should give you the idea of what we're going for. So we've got the tabs for the top and the bottom here, and in between these. Hopefully, to me that looks simple enough that someone with instructions can cut that out and put that together. But we'll figure it out. The one thing that's potentially worrying me is that those tabs might be super small, and that's not going to give a lot of space to work with when we're gluing stuff. That's where we'll have to test it out. If not, I guess there are potentially might be able to get some tape in there before we start or whatever, but let's see where this goes. Okay. Yeah, to get the barrel hoops on, what we're going to do is put in another two cuts in there. They're not going to create any flaps because they're still part of the same surface. At least I hope they won't. But again, let's find out. This is the first time I'm making a barrel this way, so yeah, we're learning as we go along. So back to, oops, that's not what I meant to press. Back to edit mode. Go to the loop cut again. And turning off the snapping here. Now let's see. Could we just, yeah, I think that's good enough, I guess. Maybe a bit chunky, but should work out okay. And I'm not adding any seams on those, so it won't actually show anything. We can just test it out by dumping out the file again. Second, while I mess around with my desktops. No, it did add some stuff in there. I'm not sure I'm entirely happy with that. Because I would much rather have that as a single tab. On the other hand, that is probably something that we can fix later because the bulk of the tab is still there. My concern would be that once the barrels were assembled, they would be too easy to be crushed. You know, I was thinking about that with the paper crates as well, but first of all, I tried to build them in card first, so I glued the card to the paper model, and then tried to build it. That did not work very well because it's so small that the card was not flexible enough. You can probably get away with it by using smaller piece of card, thinner piece of card. On the other hand, the again, because it's so very small and it's got some very hard angles, the paper, just the printer paper was quite solid. I did come up with a small hack to prevent crushing, but that's on the side. That's besides. Probably it's not even needed. Because what I did was, before I closed the model completely, I just filled it with scraps of paper. So it's not quite solid, but there is something pushing back if you accidentally grab it too hard. Carl, you're a magician. You made cylinders and tabs look easy peasy. Uh, I mean, this is literally just the basic Blender Papercraft plugin. It's what it does. It's built into the system. But yeah, you know what? I'm not liking these tabs, so what I'll do, I'm just going to undo these changes, and we'll go back to the model without those tabs, and I'll eyeball them while we're setting it up in with the texture. Yeah, we just have to hope for the best. Will this work? I don't know, we're just finding out. With the paper inside to stabilize it, I think it's not stabilizing it actually, because again, I think they're so small and the proportion of glue to the paper is so high. Again, because they're very small. It's kind of strong enough on its own, but what it does prevent is having a hollow space inside. So if you squish them, there's something pushing back. The tabs and glue reinforce each other. Papakura, roofing quite sturdy. Yeah. Also, what I'm suspecting is that because of the shape of this, I think it's going to be a bit stronger than the crates. But again, that's something I'll find out once I pin them out and glue them together. But yeah, let's not get ahead of ourselves because we still have a bit of a way to go. So we need to output a UV map to be able to paint the texture on. And don't let the fancy name fool you. It's a UV map is literally just a shape saying, okay, this point on the model represents this point on a picture. You'll see what I mean in a second. Okay, we've got our model here. And because we've already set up our seams and stuff, all I should need to do is go to the UV menu and ask Blender to unwrap it. And there we have the shapes. So let's see. Okay, so this is the bottom of the barrel, so I'm just going to make sure. Oh, come on. Move it here so I know where that is. Top of the barrel. Let's just rotate this a bit so it's easier to paint later. And scale it down a little. Excuse me, because I think I just got some... Okay, it's fine, it's not working. Whatever that is can wait. It should be good enough. Okay, so what's going to be happening now is this. We're going to export this as a template and we'll be able to paint the texture on. What this will be doing is saying, for example, this point over here in the picture represents this point over here on the model, and so on and so forth for every point. So that way we paint a flat texture and we're going to get it on the model over here. Okay, so UV and export UV layout. Okay. Okay, thanks Lee, we'll get back to that later. All right, now here we don't really need to change anything. I'm just going to tick that just in case. I think it only exports selected UVs, so I don't want to just export the point, I want to export everything. PNG is fine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this up to 2048. Reason being that since this is going to be printed, we want as much detail as possible in there. If it was an asset for a low poly video game or just something that I'm going to use in a video, 1024 would be fine. But again, since this is going to be printed, we want it to be as detailed as possible. So we'll go with that. Okay, and we should be able to open it from here. Okay, one sec while I look that up. My filing system is rather complicated. Where'd it go? You know when they tell you to organize your stuff and things like that? Yeah, this is exactly why you organize your stuff. Do I listen? No, I do not. Okay, so we've got that super faint thing going on there. Let me just put in a layer in here so that we can see what we're doing. And yeah, just to make things more complicated, we're going to be using Krita. I normally use GIMP, but I figure learning out how to use something new is good. So here we are. Okay, now, all we have to do here is literally just draw the stuff on. Then we can switch off the UV map layer, and we can export it back into Blender. Just to give you some idea of what this will look like is, let's say, oh, yeah, I really should learn to use this. Okay, let's zip back to Blender for a second. And I'm just going to apply that as a material to this one. So, materials, new material, image texture. And I'm just going to open the PNG we have here. And a second now. So I might need to reload it. There we go. Okay. So we're literally, whatever we paint on that thing is going to be reflected here eventually. Bring up the chat again. Right. Okay, so don't need this one, we can remove that. Actually, yeah, because this is something that I noticed when I was... Ah! working on the texture for the crate, it pays to group your layers, otherwise it's going to be an absolute mess. Yeah, that's nice one, of course. Okay, so start with a basic color, and we can just go with a brown for this one. A suitable woody color. Okay. Now, one thing I would warn you about on this one is try to keep it a bit lighter than you would normally go, because as you print it, it's going to look a lot darker. Also, I'm going to move the UV map all the way to the top. So basically, we'll be painting under that so that the lines will still be showing through. Okay, that's still in the paint. Let's pick up a brush, see what happens. Oops. Yeah, that is not good. I accidentally started painting on the wrong layer, which is a thing that happens to me very often. So let's see if we can lock that. Yeah, okay. Locked completely, nothing is going on there. Okay, much better. It's okay if you go out of line. In fact, it's even better because just in case there's a little bit of underfill, then you're just going to get that base color instead. Okay, so right now I'm using my drawing tablet, currently propped up against a box. I'm still hoping to build a more permanent stand for it later, but that's definitely going to be after October when things cool down. Use a bit more here. Oh, okay, I have no idea why it's doing that. I'm using two things which I'm not very familiar with using live on stream, which is probably not the wisest idea ever, but yeah, no one ever accused me of wisdom. Okay, so let's set a new layer on there. Yeah, I guess they're staves actually, not planks, but potato, potato. And I want a really dark gray for this one. Let's try that. So what I'm going to do now is draw the divisions between the staves of the. Why do you keep doing that? I think it's a question of pressure. So here is where it's going to be a bit tricky to draw this, because these things split up over here, and I would like to have more or less the same thickness. Okay, I keep telling myself this doesn't have to be perfect, but it should be okay at least. Okay, now I was also going to forget these, but we also need to do these ones where the texture loops around. And I missed this one. Okay, now right now that's looking gray, but if we change the style of the layer from normal to multiply, we can control how much that will darken it. And I think something like this looks just about right. Okay, let me just draw some boards in here, and we can bring it back to the Blender model to see what it looks like. Let's see. We said this is the bottom of the barrel. Same thing for the top. It's a bit much. Okay, so let's dump this out and see what it looks like. Okay, okay, Cross, say goodbye to smiley face. See, we've got a bit of underpaint there, which we need to fix. Definitely need to clean up those lines. Ah, okay. There's where that underpaint is. Come on. Okay, I have no idea why it keeps doing this. Okay, so that fills that one. And there are the corners I've missed. Oh, come on. This is infuriating. Okay. Sort those out in a second. We can work on the shadows after we do the other stuff. Just dial them in later. But for now, we're going to go with. Yeah, let's go with this color. Just going to just go in and add some texture to it. Okay, again, I know it looks like clone puke right now, but trust the process. Not just not now because I still have to do these. I'm sure it will comply eventually. Now we blur. And I'm switching this to, let's see, screen should make sense, but that's way too strong. I figured that's a start. Let's make another one. You know, when I'm doing textures in XPS Foam, this is exactly how I do the wood usually. I just have to press a lot harder. Hey, loosely collected. Did Karl fall asleep again? Nope. I'm awake. I'm awake. So let's see. Need to clean these up. Overcut a bit into there, so let's just remove that. Oh, and I just figure out which one I was using before, yeah? Yeah, good question. Let's just go with this. Might look a bit different, but we'll figure it out. Oh, way too different. This one? Let's go with that one. He's dreaming of kegs of beer. This one could use a bit more. But other than that, we seem to be set. Ooh, too much. Yeah, let's stick with screen for this. Well, that's not looking too bad. What we might want to add is another layer to darken it a little. Let's go with this really dark gray. We don't want to cross between different staves, just staying on the same one. Okay, let's give that a blur. Fresh out of paper, ate it for the fiber content. See, Karl, edible. Well, I did tell you last time, I mean, like, everything is edible once. I mean, you can eat it, you just can't digest it, but that's why it's. Yeah. Not gonna lie, I suspect that a lot of modern writing is produced that way. Okay, let's jump back in here. Give this an update. So yeah, definitely need to clean up those lines, but I think you're already getting the general idea here. Right now, what I'd like to do here is add a lip around the. Well, two things actually. A few things. Okay. We want to add a lip around here so that it shows the edge of those staves going up. And I'd also like to add some shading to the bottom part and the top part. Then we can also go for the metal hoops. This reminds me of the back in the early 2000s when I would haunt the Pepakura sites on the net. You know, I started hearing about Pepakura and stuff like that pretty late on this thing because the first time I was introduced to this kind of paper model and stuff, it was when I was a kid, and there used to be these history magazines. Hey, anyone remember magazines? And they used to have these card inserts with the things that you could cut out and build and stuff like that, and that's where the whole thing with paper and cardboard models came up. Once it's reduced inside, the lines might clean themselves. To be honest, that is probably true. So let's see where this goes. Okay, so next thing we want to do is we want to put the rim around the top and the bottom. Okay, I need to be able to see this, so let's zoom in there. Oh, too much. I didn't know that's what it's called, Papakura. I think that's one name for it, but yeah, to be honest, uh, Papercraft is a perfectly acceptable definition, I think. Okay, so yeah. Let's pick a color for the rim. I think we should go with the base color first. As soon as I can find my mouse. That's close enough to begin with. That's the Japanese term, but they tend to push it into a pretty high art form at times. I think the basic idea predates the term. I don't know, honestly, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I've seen some fairly complex papercraft objects that people have been making, and it's really amazing. And the more amazing stuff is that, some of these things predate easy access to 3D modeling and things. So some of them were all planned out and designed by hand, which is pretty mind blowing if you think about it. Okay. Now let's see if we can get some texture on that. Does any one of these look textury? Let's see. Yeah, this looks textury. Okay, that's a fresh layer, which I will absolutely label later. Okay. And another one, just to give it some depth. A buddy of mine turned me onto the Papakura stuff to make some cheap tabletop terrain. At the time we were playing with the WizKids based MechWarrior game, and yeah, there were some really crazy Papakura builds people display like high-end model builds. Yep, and I mean, apart from the artistry of making them, right? If you take care of them, like give them some varnish and you know, don't soak them and just take good care of them. I think they can last you as long as regular miniatures, to be honest. Okay, maybe not as long as a metal miniature, but you know what I mean. Okay, so this is the outline. So what I'm going to do is, let's see, is there a way to use this as a mask? Yes. So I'm just going to invert the selection, delete that, and delete that. So it's just the same area showing through. And let's give it a bit of a shadow. Does edible terrain make you impalpitate? I'm pretty sure that, yeah, depending on what you put into it, it can definitely make you impalpitate. I love that word. Okay, that should be enough. And let's see. Burn might be a bit too strong. Let's go with... Oh, no. Go back. Yeah, multiply could work. Let's give it a blur as well. Okay, and let's give the same treatment to the bottom part. Actually, yeah, I'll need to do the blur later. Because it's on the same layer. I think that works. Just maybe bring that down a little because it's a bit too bright. And yeah, the other thing we need to do is paint in these corners here so that they line up with the match up with the shadows on the thing. And yeah, Lisa, I think that what we were talking about makes sense because if you look at this area here, for example, considering that the whole thing is like less than 50 millimeters across, that's barely going to be be visible. But I do want to fill in this part here because that's a bit too much. Let's do this real quick. Making sure that we don't have any large blank areas. That one we can live with. Yeah, okay, so let's just put in some lines on those corners. So at least we easily know where they are because they're just going to line up with these edges. So every corner you see there will line up with one of these edges. Pencil. Would you not do that? Yeah, learn a new thing on stream, Karl. It will be fun, Karl. I should stop listening to myself sometimes. Well, I'm glad I got to drop by and be my weird self for a bit, but I must go. Got to go swap out the radiator in my truck. Have a great day and later staters. Well, good luck with your truck and see you around. Oh, come on. Okay, same thing again. Let's see how many times it's going to give me the pop-up thingy. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, this is. I think I'm just going to use the mouse for this one. Is it less precise? Yes. But does it give me the pop-up? No, it does not. So, yeah, I'm just going to use this for now. Okay, so I'm just going to select the rim area again, invert the selection, and delete that. So we only keep the parts of that division that are inside the inside that area. Okay, and let's see what we've got. Yeah, I think we should definitely clean up these lines a bit, but the general idea should be there. Okay, next I think let's go for the iron hoops around it. But if you all don't mind, I really would like to take a 5 minute, let's call it a hydration break, okay? Let's call it a hydration break, but we'll be right back. Hydration will be happening. Of the porcelain mainly, but yeah. Don't worry about it. Okay, we're back, and quick costume change because I also sweated my way through my shirt. And yeah, let's see. Dehydrate, then rehydrate. Always important. Yep. I mean, I don't talk out of sense under the best of circumstances, but if I'm dehydrated, I make even less sense. Okay, so let's see. Where were we? Yeah. Talking about getting some hoops around the barrel first. So let me just drop the community showcase link again, just in case. Speaking of the community showcase, I was thinking of making a change for it starting on the next stream. Instead of making it through Discord, I was thinking of using the community tab on YouTube itself, just because I know some people who follow regularly who don't use Discord, and if they want to submit some stuff, they can't. So I thought it might be a nice idea to try that at least. Maybe give it a shot for a couple of streams and see how that goes. So for today, we're still on Discord. Next week, we'll be on the community tab on YouTube. And we'll see how that works out. Okay, how are we going to do this? So basically the thing that's going to be a bit tricky here is this. Let me just set up another group for the metal. Okay, so the thing that's going to be a bit tricky here is this, because let's get a bright color. Yeah. Okay, so the hoop has to run all the way across the barrel in one straight line, but here it should be relatively easy. Well, if you don't mind my drawing, but here is going to be a bit tricky because we've got it going in sections. Yeah, I will figure this out. Anyway, yeah, it's jumping there and it's got these gaps in between. So we need to work around that. How am I going to do that? That is a good question. I have no idea. Actually, let's see. Let's see if we can get. Let's see if we can get Blender to help us with this. So we've got our texture painting mode. Now this is the raw PNG file. Here I've got the Krita file. So if I do anything in Blender, that's going to save to the PNG file, not the Krita file. So this one is safe. But then we can use that to help us in a slightly different way. We'll get to that when we figure that out. Okay, so let's see. Definitely want a smaller. Yeah, look at that. Happy barrel. And you can see that anything we're painting here is being replicated here. So let's see. What are our options here? I have to admit I have not used this much of it all because most of the stuff I do in Blender doesn't really involve any texturing. But the tool is there, we can use it, so erase soft. No, erase is not what we need. Paint pressure, airbrush. Mask, no. Paint soft pressure sounds about right. So let's see, let's get it across there. Now, is there a way to limit it to a straight line? To do this freehand and trying to keep it as close as possible. We're still going to do the final thingy and Krita, so it's not the end of the world if this gets a bit messy. Okay, now that's missed the other four staves here because we're only painting on one axis. So I'm just going to bring that around and get this started off. Hopefully that won't be too bad. Oh, again, I'm hoping that the thing that will save this is that because it's so tiny, this will not really make an appreciable difference. To be honest, let's see, if this is 70 millimeters from top to bottom, then that should be smaller than 2 millimeters. I think we might be able to make it. Okay, let's do the same thing on the bottom here. So yeah, the crates were a lot easier to do than this, but yeah, that's a much simpler shape. It's only got flat surfaces, so there weren't really any problems of the sort. But this is an interesting exercise because you've got angles, you've got these additional items which don't really have any geometry of their own. And we'll are learning this as we go along. So hopefully once we've... Oh, that's too much. Once we've gotten through this, we should just be able to trace it over in the other image. Okay, so let's see, image. So I've overwritten that PNG file, and I'm going to bring it over in here. Can we open it as a separate layer? Let's do this. Let's save this as barrel A. Okay. There we go. Okay. So we've got that imported. And what I'm going to do is trace over it basically. Actually, do I need to trace over it? I think I can just use this as a base kind of thing. But yeah, it's got all the other information there which we might want to change later. So yeah, I'm just going to trace over it. Pick a brush. I like this thick pencil, so hopefully the thick pencil will like me back. And let's go with the dark gray. I should probably have picked a different color for this. But that should do. Now, a sensible artist would probably rotate the image just to make it easier for themselves, but since I'm not an artist and I'm not terribly sensible, I'm just changing my own position. Partly because I'm not confident enough with Krita to actually start messing with things like that. Is it ergonomically sensible? No. But yeah, I think we've got the basics there. Let's get the other one in. Well, at least this will certainly have a certain hand-drawn charm. If nothing else. Okay, that should actually work out, so let's call it. I think those are called the hoops, I'm not sure. Let's give them a bit of shadow. It's okay, let's see. Yeah, almost my entire learning process is fuck around and find out. So yeah, this is a fairly typical representation of how I learn things. Okay, so let's give it a blur. Change to multiply and let's bring the opacity down. I think it might be a bit aggressive, but that's a start. Okay. Next we want a highlight on that, so let's see. Go to the lighter color, let's say this one. Okay, so that's going a bit out of our line, and we'll use the same trick we did earlier to cut it back where it belongs. Okay, so again, giving it a blur first. Okay, setting that to screen because we want to make it lighten whatever is under it. And that should be enough for now. No, if I control click the layer, it will select that area only. Invert the selection, then we can delete anything that's outside of it. Okay, so let's try this again. Filter, blur, okay. Oops, not what I wanted to do. There. Okay, I think that makes much more sense. Okay, and next thing I want to do is apply a bit of texture to that. So I'm going one on top of this. Let's see if we can find a fairly Yeah, this will do. Go with this blue-gray. Splotching it all over. It's too strong. Oh, change the brush, okay. Okay, so again, select that. Oops. Is this level of detail going to be noticeable? I'm not sure. Maybe. I think it's going to show just a little bit, just a hint, but again, part of the reason why I'm doing this is to learn what will make a difference and what won't. Will it make a difference? Yeah, literally I have no idea. So we'll find out tomorrow when I print this. What I know will make a difference though is adding some shading. Let's just save this real quick. But the question is, do I really want to add some shading? Because what I'm thinking is this, right? Let me update the texture. Okay, this is the barrel as we have it right now. So the all of this is the same color. Now what you would expect is to have this area is a bit lighter than this, right? However, if we add some shading here in the bottom and some slightly warmer colors up top, I think it will look a bit better. On the other hand, that means that it has a different orientation. It's like definite orientation. It's like it's supposed to be stood up this way rather than being put on its side or whatever. Will it make a big difference? I don't know, but let's try it out. Thank you. Yeah, what I am thinking though is I should probably make the shadow up top here all the way around because you see, here it's kind of clear that there's a rim. Here it's kind of lost in the other stuff. So yeah, we can experiment with that. We'll see what comes out. So what I'm thinking about is what we're saying is that anything beneath this line needs to be a bit darker. So let's get our big chunky brush. Yeah, you do have that thing. On the other hand, the metal already has that shading going on, so it's kind of there already. Then again, players aren't probably looking that closely at it. Yeah, like I said, it's like, look, this is something to occupy space on the table that's vaguely the right shape. So again, we're not going for full realism here. And I think having that little extra shading will actually make it look nicer. So I'm going for it. Trying to figure out, yeah. Oh, that's nice. So again, dark color, and we're going everywhere beneath that line. Should it be over the... yeah, let's leave the metal alone for now, then we'll figure it out. Clean that up. Too far over the top there. I got to say, the tablet makes it easier to get those precise thingies there. So let's see. Multiply. I mean, something fairly subtle like that already helps. And again, might want to make it a bit darker actually. Oh, do I? No, I think that's fine. I think that's looking good. So, but let's add a bit of highlight around the top. And I want a light gray for this one. Oh, yeah. eraser on that one is not going to do much. Let's pick this. Do you use a pen and mouse? No, actually, I'm using a drawing tablet right now. A combination of a drawing tablet and a mouse. Let's see. Okay, let's switch that to screen opacity. Okay, what do we think? Let's save this and see what it looks like over here. Do. Yeah, I think that could work. There's a bit of a seam there. I'll live with that, I think. Okay, let's save this and export the PDF and see what comes out. Okay, now this time we're going to change a few settings in here. So the scale is going to stay the same. That's still stickers. We're still not going to print out the numbers because I don't think there's a point to that here. Textures are going to be from materials. There are options to, for example, if you go for a full render, then that's going to render the scene with all the lights and stuff and generate a texture from that. It's a bit more complex because you've got to set up the whole lighting environment, which is definitely beyond the scope of this one. So we're just going to go with from materials. And since we're going with for printing, I'm going to go for a high DPI, so it's 320. Could go higher, whatever, but 320 is fairly decent for printing. Okay, export that. And let's load up the PDF. Okay. Oops. Now let's see. We definitely want to get rid of those guidelines because they're too much in the way. I don't mind the black outline out there, but the those dotted lines are too much. And yeah, the rim definitely needs a bit of more help over there. So let's do it over real quick. So same settings, we're going to go to colors and styles. We don't want the outer lines. We don't want the inner line highlight. Inner concave lines. Okay, so outer lines, I think we can work with that. Inner lines, I think with the inner lines, I think we can actually do without them completely. Because also we've got kind of the, I think we still need them a little. Let's just leave a 1 and see how that goes. If there's a dotted line without the white outline, that should be fine, because at least from what I've seen over these, it's not even visible. Okay, let's see how that goes. So what I do after I've finished messing around with this basically is I export these into Affinity. Oh, I think that's looking good. Now let's see. Are there any problems with this? Possibly. Mainly because it's not very clear where the creases are here, but I think we can work with that. Can we work with that? Yeah, I think we can. So this should be viable. Potentially we don't need that crease line over there, but that's okay. Yeah, I mean, definitely worth a print tomorrow and see where this goes. So yeah, what I do is basically take this, open it into Affinity, and then set it up on the page so that however many copies need to go in there, that's fine. Because you're not going to waste printing a page just for this one. Besides, if you look at the way that those two, that the top and bottom go there, it doesn't really make sense to print them so close because it's going to make it very difficult for to cut them. So yeah. Now, great thing about this, we just made one, right? Yeah, I think we can remove that line completely. But what I wanted to do next is just create some variations because we've got a barrel, right? I think we can agree that this is a decent barrel. We can figure out the shadows over there later. Save this. I'm just going to save that as the basic barrel. Okay, and what we can do now is, let's say that I want a different color barrel. Maybe I want a red barrel because, you know, everyone loves explosive barrels. Where's my mouse? Help. There. Okay. Let's call it the danger barrel. Okay, yeah. We can just export that texture. Okay, if we don't want that, let's say that, for example, we want to put some markings on the barrel or something. So yeah, let's go back to here. Let's remove that layer. The new one. Sorry about the traffic outside. I know it's exceptionally loud, but it is what it is. And we have some explosions for Jesus as well. So let's say we want a sign drawn, for example, I don't know. Oh wow, so not what I meant to do. Let's say, okay, let's say let's put a potentially a thicker one, but okay, so we want to have your keg of dwarven beard drawn onto that. There you go. So it's literally a case of just putting on more layers, setting in whatever shades or colors or stuff you want. Once we've got the basic layout done, we can just slap layers on top of that. Okay, I think that was the entirety of my what you call it presentation for today. Okay, so with that, let's jump over to Discord and see what you'll have thrown in there. Or you could just put the word ale on the barrel. Yeah, I mean, like, you can do whatever you like on there. So if you look at the actually, let me bring them up since we're here. Let's see. Crates. I'm sure I saved them here somewhere. Yeah, possibly not, but that's okay. Let's bring up the whole PDF instead. So all the texture is the same for all of these. Okay, so the only difference between them is that in the case of these three, these have these little bills just added onto the same texture. This one has this little symbol, whatever it is, drawn it. Literally just layers on the same textures. Okay, so yeah, let's jump onto Discord now and see what you've got. Okay, 1 sec. Yeah. Okay, so first up we've got Cross's own barrels. He did these a while ago for his ship build. Certainly, if you want more durable barrels, this is a good way to go. So if I'm correct, these were dowels which he shaped slightly. I think just shaving off a little bit of the ends with a piece of paper wrapped around for bands. They're certainly effective, and especially if you have a lot of them and it's a busy scene, they definitely work. You don't need to put tons of detail into it. I think this works really well. Okay, next up is Dungeon Matron, who is building a windmill. And I think this is the sail of the windmill and some windows, I would guess. I see that you took my advice of just using the scraps to build them here rather than trying to fit a larger window to it. Oh, that's pretty. I like the thingy here in the middle. Okay, so I'm guessing those are like kebab skewers, I think, or something like that. And oops, did you drill into the skewers to glue the other things, or are those cocktail sticks just glued on top? I felt all. Yep, I mean, pics of your barrels are always appropriate with cross. Okay, yeah, I'm curious about this. I mean, like, I don't know if those are just glued on or if they're drilled into the thing. Either way, I'm like, I drilled into the skewer, so that is out of work. I mean, super solid, but yeah, definitely out of work. Yeah, so in general, I like how this project is coming along. Nice job. I am a huge fan. Badum. Toothpicks and kebab skewers. Okay, and this is from Lee from Anfield Road Layout. Oh, that's okay. The setup is in progress, so I believe you said you were putting on the vegetation, yeah? This is big. I mean, like, judging by the size of that crate, I mean, like, this is very large, at least compared to what we normally work on. This is really good. Nice stuff. Real nice stuff. Okay, and I think that's it for today. Let's see. I find it funny Dungeon Mater's machinations, given how often you use that wood fan for scratch building. You did not use a fan on a building fan. I think. Look, I'm pretty sure that fan is going to run out at some point. Run out at some point. So yeah, she probably wants to save it for the really important projects now. Okay, that's it for today. I'm sorry we ran over a little late. Thanks for showing the pics. No, no, no. Thank you for sharing them because I mean, everyone here loves seeing each other's work and learning from them. So no, it's thanks to you, not thanks to me. Sharing everyone's work and giving everyone a showcase is my pleasure. Okay, so we're saying, yeah, thank you for being here, and I'm sorry we're a bit over. We're about 15 minutes overdue. Next week, I'll probably be trying to do some more papercraft stuff. I've got a stupid idea to build some papercraft trees. I have no idea how that will work. I have no idea if that makes sense, but I'm going to try it. And yeah, other than that, thank you again for being here. Thank you again for being present in the chat. It's been great fun hanging out with you. If you want to help the channel, drop in by after the end of the stream and leave a comment. Help other people find it. And other than that, you have a lovely week. And thanks again for being here. Bye.